Welcome to Table Talk. Table Talk. Table Talk. Table Talk. Table Talk is now in session. Now in session. Now in session.
Listen. Here, speed is not just a force, but a living, breathing, and sacred entity.
More than 90,000 people have gathered at the Daytona International Speedway.
This is Midnite Michael, and I'm honored to be on the Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice. Don't get caught slipping. Stay tuned.
Today, I am excited to be joined by a powerhouse talent in the voice industry. His name is Midnite Michael, and he will be joining us today. I am super excited. He's a narrator, performer, storyteller, whose voice you may have heard in commercials, audiobooks, and more. We're talking about the craft, the business, and the culture of voiceovers, from his home studio setup to representation, audios, and the importance of being a strong Black male in today's industry. So grab your headphones because the conversation is going to inspire you, whether you're a voiceover pro, an inspired talent, or just someone who loves a great storytelling. Keep it locked. You're on Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice. We'll be right back. Everyone, welcome to Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice. Today I have my special guest. I am so proud to do this because this is actually the first voiceover artist, professional voiceover artist that I'm interviewing. And, it's such an honor, it's really an honor to interview a powerhouse. You'll get to hear everything that he does as far as voiceover is concerned, narration, and so forth. What I wanted to ask you, Michael, did you want me to refer you as Midnite Michael or your other name that I saw in the email? How do you usually like people to address you?
Midnight is fine.
Midnite?
Is simplest.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So how are you doing, first of all?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing fine.
You look great.
Oh, thank you. It's the light.
All right. We'll go with that.
It's the light. It's the light. I'm talking to you and I'm feeling like I listened to your audiobooks, a couple of them that you have. And also the one that you did, was it for which company? McDonald's or
Popeyes.
Popeyes? Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm actually listening. Like you have this voice all the time. Like there's no downtime. It's just natural.
No, yeah, no. I was talking with my brother. I come
Yeah.
from a pretty big family, and we all sound the same.
Really?
And so, incidentally, I was talking a couple of weeks ago. We were on the phone, and we were just talking about all of these things that are happening right now, as far as voice acting and audiobook narration goes.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's weird to me because I always sounded like this. As a matter of fact, there's so many other people in my family that sound quote unquote so much better than me, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, right? They have better voices, quote unquote. And I'm like, man, I was just the one that decided to do this with it, But to your point, I sound like this all the time, and it does shock people, though, for sure.
It does. I've had the same thing where people say, "Don't you have any downtime? Like, are you always advertising?" And I'm like, "This is my voice." You know?
I'm not selling that. Even when I'm doing that, it's not even a sale, right? It's not unless certain things, right? When it comes to commercial, certain types of voice acting genres, right? There are things that you have to do, right, to really inflect and drive home different things and sell it or whatever the case may be. But for the vast majority of the stuff I do, it's this, right? This is what sells, right? This what drives the point home, sells, stakes the bottom line, whatever the client desires. This is what they ask for the vast majority of the stuff on which I work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Midnite. Growing up, you just mentioned growing up, the voices that you had, the voice that you have, and your family, everybody has the same voice. What made you pursue voicing?
So again, circling back to what we just said, I've had this voice. I'm about to be 47.
Yeah.
On the top of next year. I've been sounding like this since I was 12,
Yeah.
basically, right?
Yeah.
The depth has always been there. And when my voice changed as a 12-year-old, right, you, you you can imagine how shocked people would be when
Of,
they would hear me
of
speak.
course. Of course.
And so around that time, like I grew up in a small town in North Florida, Crestview. Shout out to the homies down there.
Mm.
Um, and people would say, "Hey, man, you ought to be on the radio. You ought to do commercials. You ought to do cartoons, whatever the case may have been." Right? When you hear the voice, it kind of brings an idea to people's minds, but
Hmm.
nobody could tell me how to do it. Right? Nobody could tell me how to get into it. And I
Mm.
thought it was really cool, right, to be a novelty of sorts, right? But
Yeah.
it was never a thing that I wanted to pursue at that age.
Hmm.
It really didn't, you know, jump up to me as an idea until I got much, much older. It was like 2018, I think.
Mm.
Um, Christmas Eve, incidentally.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And we had just finished wrapping presents for my daughters for Christmas, and I got
Wow.
back to
So
my
you got into
apartment,
it really late. Mm.
and I was watching a documentary on one of them channels, and the
Yeah.
great Morgan Freeman was narrating a documentary.
Mm.
I was like, you know what, I can do that. Just real arrogant, real cocky, and you met me a little bit, so there's there's a little brashness about me. And,
Yeah.
and, and so, yeah, I sat there and I was like, I can do that, and thus began the journey on figuring out how to do that. Right.
Mm.
It was very confusing at first because, again, obviously the internet is the internet and there's so many opinions about how to do one,
Exactly.
how to do a thing, if you will.
Mm.
And so I was stuck in that wheel until I finally ran across a training course that I thought would suit my desires and my ability. And so I joined, and thus began the journey. Right. And again, you know it wasn't some long time pursuit. It was like a flash of inspiration that I built on.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time that flash of inspiration, that spark, still drives me today. Right. Just building on the
Mm.
foundation of that energy. Right. That energy never went away. It's
Yeah.
still there. It's only grown stronger as the years have gone by.
Mhm.
And so I just got really, really excited about it initially, right? And as you know, right, in this world, it's not as easy as people think. They say you should do it, but they don't understand, like, the the underbelly, if you will, of it all, right?
Exactly.
The work, right? The
Yeah.
losing, right? The sacrifices, right? And so I had to experience that on my own too, right? I had to learn, like, okay, just because I have this voice doesn't mean I'm going to get, just because I, sound like Morgan Freeman, just because I sound like James Earl Jones, just because I sound like all these people that people have compared me to over the years,
Mhm.
doesn't mean I'm going to get the same kind of work. Doesn't mean I'm going to get work, period, if I try this. So I ran into that early and I almost quit. I almost quit. Like,
Really?
but it was ridiculous because it was like after 3 months.
Yeah.
It's like, because then I wasn't getting I wasn't, I wasn't Morgan. I wasn't James Earl Jones. I wasn't these gentlemen and these ladies that were have resumes, have been doing this for. I'm thinking I'm supposed to come in and just kill the game. They told me I was good. They told me I was this. I'm supposed to be this, right? And I
Yeah.
wasn't that.
Yeah.
I had to earn everything I got, and I have to earn everything I get.
Yeah.
And I had to be defeated into that mindset. Okay, like I had to lose so much to understand. Like, okay, well, it's that's just what it is, right? If
Yeah.
that's what it takes, fine. But the one thing I did land on that's helped me to this day is if I'm gonna lose my way. And to your point about me sounding this way, if if I got to do anything crazy that takes me out of this zone, that's not for me. I'd rather not do it. So I know
Mm.
that's a long answer to a short question, but
Well,
yeah, that's how I got into it, and that's how I'm staying in it for sure.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so within my questions, right, you'd find that it's a little bit repetitive because normally when everyone answer their questions, I'll ask them from the beginning to the end. And sometimes you basically do it in summary of all the questions that I'm asking. So what you answered just now was actually one of my questions, like a lot of my questions in summary of what you said. The challenges that's there. I mean, I could say personally, I've gone through that where you feel like it's dry, there's nothing happening, and you want to know where's your next step? What do you do? How do you get into um bookings and doing all these things, right? But before we go into that, I wanted you to explain to everyone what exactly do you understand voiceover to be, or explain to them what is voiceover. Because I find people, I would say, I'm a voiceover artist, and they'll be like, what is voiceover? So I remember when I didn't know about voiceover, and they explained it to me, then I understood because I had someone that trained me, right? He stayed all
Mhm.
night and he was training me about it. Um, so could you just explain to everyone what is VO or voiceover?
I don't know a formal definition. I've never gotten a
That's
formal
fine. That's
definition
fine.
of it, but what I
That's fine.
consider it is an art form, right? I consider it an art form that allows anyone, right? Anyone who so desires to, move down the path of using their voice to create and express ideas, beliefs,
Mm,
et cetera, for, you know, people that they partner with, whether it's a TV producer, radio producer, an author, commercials, whatever the case. It's an opportunity for us to create art and create messaging based on our natural talent, which I would call it our most natural talent, which is
yeah,
speaking, right?
yeah,
And so I kind of craft it that way when I think about what a voiceover is and what a voice acting embodies and encompasses. It's really just using our voice to help create art and uh, generate expression that is unique to our voice print.
yeah.
I don't know if that, I don't know. I just
Well, no, I
I
mean
was
you
freestyling that.
explained it in a good way, which is great,
I was freestyling that. That was a freestyle. I don't know if I got it right, but
No,
hopefully somebody got something out of that message. Excuse me.
so just to go into it a little deeper, some of the voiceovers that you do so people understand what voiceover is, like dubbing. I didn't understand what dubbing was. A lot of the words that we use right now,
Mhm. Yeah, the
Dub.
niches. Yeah, the different
Yeah.
categories. Yeah.
Yeah. So dubbing. Have you ever done dubbing, and could you explain what dubbing is?
The dubbing is, as I understand it, again, no definition has ever been provided from. But in opportunities where I've had the chance or assignment to dub something,
Hmm.
there's a TV show, commercial, cartoon, whatever the case may be, movie, um, in a different language, right? It's maybe in your native. They want you to record that same uh I guess voice that movie in your native tongue, right? So it could be in German, but I speak English and they want an American English translation.
Hmm.
And so I would take what they have already written and I would translate that into my language or dub uh my voice over their already existing soundtrack. So they could create a different version of the movie for a different audience, if you will. So in essence, that's fundamentally what dubbing is, in my opinion. Again, that there could be more a more detailed explanation of what that
Definitely.
is, but I think just that's based on my understanding. That's what it entails.
Hmm. Do you remember the very first VO that you did? And
Absolutely,
what was the experience like?
it was. So this was jumping back to my training, right? So I did training, right? So 2018 December, I was like, I'm starting training. So boom, jump into training in January of 2019, right? Never forget this. And I couldn't read. I couldn't read well, right? I say that all the time. It showed me that there are certain things that I wasn't as good as I thought I was
Yeah.
at, right? So I get my vocal technique coach, go through that whole thing, and I think I get better, right? And then I go through a marketing thing
Mm.
and I think I get better. And then from all of that comes the opportunity to record a couple of demos.
Yeah.
Right. So I record some demos. Boom. I think I'm the best ever. Right. And you know how it goes. Like you think whatever you do in the beginning is, is
Yeah.
be no wrong. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So while I was waiting for like the demos to get produced and sent back to me, I went on to Craigslist to just try to get something going, man. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just looking. Right. I was
Uh-huh.
looking, and
Uh-huh.
somebody said, "Hey, you can check out Craigslist," and that it could you could get lucky, right? And so I was doing that. I was doing, and I actually have a 9 to 5 too. So I was at work,
Mm.
illegally, since going to the Craigslist ads or what have you.
Uh-huh.
And I found one for it was a dog poop commercial for the city of Baltimore, right?
Uh-huh.
And it paid $75. And I was just, I did, and I would do like just little demos on my own at home in my studio just to, attach to my response to the ad or whatever. So I got the gig. It was like a couple it's like mid-May. I'll never forget it. I got it. And I told my cube mate, I was like, Stephanie, I got a gig, right? And it's over. I'm about to quit. It's over. And it was again a $75 gig.
Uh-huh.
And I called my friend who became my girlfriend, who was now my wife, and she worked downstairs. And I was like, Reek, I'm out. I'm about to go record this, you know, this this thing or whatever. And it's about to be over, right? Because it's about to take me to the next level, right?
Yeah.
$75. I ran to my truck and just went home and spent the next 4 hours recording like a 30-second. That was 15-second PSA. It wasn't even that long, but I spent
Uh-huh.
forever trying to get it right. I must have done like 78 takes.
Because of the nervousness, you end up doing
Yeah.
something that's so minute a lot of
Yeah.
times.
And
Yeah.
I wouldn't I wouldn't send it in because I wanted it to be right. You know what I mean? And I didn't have I have no bearing at the time of what right even sounds like.
Mm.
And so yeah, I'm sweating. I'm like, wow, I can't believe somebody's paying me or whatever, right? And so that was my first gig, a dog poop commercial for the city of Baltimore for $75.
Mm.
But that was the most important $75, in my life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
when I say I ran to my truck to get home. It was incredible,
Yeah.
because you can relate to this. When you get into this, you don't think like, okay, you want things to happen, right? But you
Mhm.
never know, right? So I never knew what that was going to feel like when somebody said, "Yeah, we want you to, do this," right?
Mhm.
And so when it happened, I was like, "Whoa, yeah,"
It's
I didn't.
incredible. It's incredible because
Yeah,
somebody's paying you for seconds for your
yeah,
voice, you
yeah.
know?
And it was unfathomable to me that it could happen,
Mhm.
even though I'm going through all this training, even though I'm like, yeah, I want to be the best ever in my mind.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
somebody to say, hey, we want to rock with you, that still means the world to me.
yeah.
And shout out to Human Productions. I think they're out of somewhere in Maryland. I can't remember, but it was Human Productions in Maryland, and
Oh,
I'll
nice.
never forget them.
That's good. But did you ever, was that the only job that you did for them, or you did
Yeah,
more than
no,
that?
that was the only one. That was the only one.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, it was still, like I said, it was so incredible. I wasn't even thinking about, building the networking, excuse me, and partnering aspect of it. I wasn't really trying to focus on that. I was just trying to do the job and be good at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, but shout out to them. I really, like I said, I'll never forget that moment.
Yeah, your first one, you never forget that. I listen back to my voiceovers and
Ooh.
I see how, how I've matured, how the voice changed. I don't have you ever gone through that?
No.
Even though you had so you sounds like this, oh, well, no, you did it. It's only been like what, 7 years?
Six, yeah, yeah, it's
Years.
roughly
Like
6 or 7.
that is incredible.
But I mean, I stay away from like revisiting the past. You know what I mean? Like it
Oh,
was so
fine.
funny. I don't
Mhm.
know in that context, right?
Okay.
Because I think, and this is just me trying to figure out myself. I
Hmm.
think it's me just trying to, as I go along, establish something new that based on the originality that's already there, right? I don't want to have to lean on myself to build myself, if that makes sense, right?
Hmm.
I'm creating myself as I go, right? It's just,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
that makes creating like the sound as I go and
Okay.
how I sounded. I mean, I still sound this way, right? But the performance, the articulation, all these kinds of things,
Hmm.
they have matured a lot. You know what I'm saying? So, I and I don't want to. Oh, that's. I don't want to cringe at. I listen. I still have I will say this. I still have that demo I was speaking of. I still
Yeah.
have those, and I listen to them sometimes. I'm like, you sounded terrible, man. It's not. It's
That's what I'm speaking about. Not to cut you off or anything, but that's what I'm speaking about. Like, I would listen to past recordings just to see, what errors I made, how I need to improve. I mean, from then to now, I've seen the change, but it's like just as you're saying now, you know, maybe the way you enunciate everything, do you go back and listen to those things like those years before, or you more listen to current things that you record?
The only thing I listen to, like I said, it's if I hear anything I've done before, it's by pure accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't intentionally seek that out because I know I've gotten better at those things, right? I know for a fact that
Mm,
where I was in 2019 when I first started is so far behind me in terms of, like I said, articulation and enunciation.
mm.
Um, you know, how I use my voice, right? And how I use my body to create different voices, right? Character building, right? World shaping, right? When I do audiobooks, that's gotten a lot better from when I started doing audiobooks, right? I was just reading the book, right? That was pretty much it. And I fancied myself being an actor, like in terms of that
Ah,
delivery, but I was just reading. But
okay.
now it's more immersive for me, right? I understand the nuance of, like I said, shaping everything, right? Because it's just us, right? It's not, we don't have the benefit of visuals. We don't have the benefit of, in a lot of cases, sound effects, right? It's just all of us, it's just all us all the time. And
True.
so I'm learning, like I said, how to evolve even where I am right now. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just, like I said, if I listen to something from the past, it's completely by accident. But I appreciate the journey though, for sure.
Yeah, you do appreciate it. You have your studio. Is it self-taught where you do your own edits, or you have a producer that does all your work?
Yeah, I do. It's all me. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I've been playing around in the studio for years now.
Mm.
I'm actually a musician as well. And so that's
Okay.
where this, was inspired by that journey more than voice acting because like I said, I had no concept of, what
Yeah.
a voice acting experience looked like, what voice acting was as it relates to the studio process and editing process and record. I had no idea until I started doing it. So,
Mm.
but all this was in place already because I was already recording music and recording other people and learning about, EQing and editing and
Yeah, that helps.
yeah, just so I was kind of already, and I was already like, digital, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are transitioning still from, what voice acting and recording as a voice actor once was to now, right? Because everything is done more remotely than it used to be. So
True.
I was already there, right? When I got in the game. And so I
Mm.
had people asking me how do you do X, Y, and Z? I'm like this, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, for decades now, I've been playing in the studio and it really helped me kind of transition into this world very seamlessly.
Yeah, I think it's a plus. I mean, besides voiceover, I am a camera person, I'm a photographer. I do so many different things besides my
Right.
job,
Yeah.
and you find the time to do all these things. But the only thing that I haven't mastered is production.
Okay.
And and that's just production in my voice. I know
Okay.
how to clean up, I know how to do a lot of different things. But because my producer does it so well, I'm like, I want to just stay in my lane. But at the same time, I see people just cleaning up their work and sending it out. So that's the part that I need to dive into, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You,
And I'm
you
tech
have somebody
savvy. So
you have somebody who does that for you all the time?
yes.
Man, I balling out of control. I can't do that. I can't I
I
can't I can't afford to do that. What you sitting on over
that's the
there?
thing because okay, so I'm from Trinidad. I'm not sure if you know that. So in the Caribbean, because of because of the nature of the business of what I do, right? Because of what I do, I had a producer do it because of the time and because of what he knew. And I was just like you, I was just diving into something that I knew nothing about. I got my training, and when they told me, it's for a radio station and mixing music, I knew nothing about production. So the easiest thing was to just send in my stuff, you know? So now I'm trying to learn how to
Yeah, I think yeah.
Gemini.
I'm glad that
Yeah,
I was blessed enough to even have that foresight, right? To
yeah,
just immerse myself in this element of, mixing,
mm,
recording, mixing, editing, etc.
yeah,
So that when I got to voice acting, right? When I ended up, it was no like, oh, what do I do? I was
Yeah,
like,
you knew it.
that was never a challenge. It was always like, how do I get better at being a voice actor? Right? It was
Yeah.
never this, but to that point though, I've
Mm,
gotten better at being a audio engineer, a producer, um, et cetera, for a voice actor, right? Because
yeah.
of the immersive nature of what we do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I've my workflow has gotten better over time.
Mm,
You know, my ability to record a book has got things have gotten better over time. Like, but those are the 1% growths, gains that we get every day, right? By just doing the work. And
true.
so yeah, that's the goal right now. Just those 1% continual gains of getting better
Hmm.
every day and at what we do. And I thank God for the process for sure.
Okay. So as a male narrator, how do you think your voice and presence bring something unique to the table? Well, the question really is as a black narrator,
Okay.
male narrator.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying, I think, that we as Black men who do this, we carry a certain weight with our voice and a certain responsibility with our voice. I think there's a lot that, people expect from us when they, when they hear our auditions, when they hear us, doing different things, right? I think just speaking, right? When I walk into the room, things kind of change and shift a little bit, right?
Yeah.
When I say something, there's weight and there's responsibility that comes with everything we say because of the people that came before us, right? When you
Mm,
think of, you know, voice acting, like of the top tier names, right?
mm,
I can call three off top that people can automatically shift to, right? When they think about black male voice actors, and
yeah.
that's Morgan Freeman, James Earl Jones, and Keith David, and there are many more, obviously, but
Mm,
those are like Mount Rushmore type names in this game. So
yeah.
when I say I do it, and I sound like them too, right? You know what I mean? A little bit. There's an
The
expectation, right?
deepness. Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
say I'm a voice actor, and I'm like, oh, they're like, there's a okay, because of those guys. You see what I'm saying? So like I said, there's a responsibility, right,
Mm,
to build upon the legacy that so many have laid down before us. Black male voice actors have laid down before us.
mm,
So many names, so many greats out there, and like I take that responsibility very serious, you know. So yeah, I think when you think of a black male voice actor, you think of weight, you think of heaviness, you think of bringing cultural relevance to a thing, right? That you know a lot of many other types of voice actors can't bring. You know what I mean? Like, we bring our experience, our culture to it. Our culture is there's so many things that come to the table when you think of what we do. So
true.
I think there's a lot of value in what we do, a lot of intentionality in what we do, and like I said, I just want to keep expanding our lane. So more of us can do it.
Mm. Have you noticed the industry shifting in terms of seeking more diverse voices?
We got to be
Oh,
careful when we
go ahead, sorry.
no. We got to be careful when we say that too. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because how we defining diverse? Like we want more people of color, more ethnic voices at the same time. You know, not too many people.
But
Sorry, go ahead.
let me just correct this. When I say diverse, more so like the different things that you can do, not just color or race or
Oh, okay.
anything like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of trying to understand.
Yeah, I try to stay away from from that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, there's so many more things out there, and I think again, just the growth in different areas as it relates to technology, right? And
Hmm.
how things are presented to, the public, right? For
Yeah.
public consumption. Like social media is crazy right now. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think that's really where, a lot of, you know, organizations, businesses, et cetera, are really focusing their attention. And right. So we have to be ready for that shift, right? Much like we transition from analog to digital
Yeah.
in terms of how we work.
Mm.
We have to think about how, terrestrial outlets aren't they're still very important, don't get me wrong, like TV, radio, etc., but again, streaming is probably you know gaining got a lot of momentum. Social media gaining a hell of a lot of momentum, right? So we have to be ready for those shifts and be ready to adjust accordingly, right?
True.
Audiobooks are very, very important right now.
Hmm.
So, and how they, how they're being presented is, something that we need to pay attention to, right? So there, like to your point, there's so many different things out there that I think we just have to be ready for whatever comes our way, for sure.
Okay. Would you consider yourself to be a diverse individual in reference to, let's say, you have your particular voice, but when it comes to cartoons or any other different techniques, do you consider yourself to be diverse?
I, I
Someone
would
who
like,
doesn't know you.
I would like to believe so. And excuse me, and it's a challenge, right? Because there's a very distinct, you know, sound that I have, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, and this is what, and getting back to something I said earlier, this is what most people want, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, when we're doing a video game or we're doing an audiobook or we're doing something that requires, a stretch of my, of this range,
Yeah.
it's important that I lean into it, right?
Hmm.
Again, 70 to 80% of the time, this is me all day, right?
Yeah.
But, when I'm a female in a book, I can't be this, right?
Exactly.
I can't be this, this, this deep. I have to stretch. I have to be something different for that
Hmm.
moment and for that situation. So yeah, no, I would consider, and I've gotten better at that over time. Of course, when I first started, I was struggling, but
Mm.
with training, with experience, with dedication to the craft, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who commits to that will see improvement over time, and I can certainly say that's been my testimony for sure.
Yeah. Leaning into it is when you're not used to okay, so I do more radio than I do narration or I do any other genres, right?
Mhm.
So it's hard in a way to bring yourself, you say lean into it, but it's like you basically have to take classes or have someone teach you how to lean into that process, correct?
What's Yes, that's helpful, and I probably should do that or should have done that at some point in time. But
Yeah.
my a lot of my improvement has come from feedback I've gotten as a result of trying something and it going left, right?
Yeah.
People say,
Yeah.
"Oh, that Midnight shouldn't have done that," you know what I mean, or something crazy like that. And I'm like, "Oh, I'll listen. I'll check. I'll remember. Okay, we got to get better at that." And then
Mhm.
I'll take on more situations that give me the opportunity to really, like, again, to my point, lean into that, work on that, try, experiment, figure it out, right?
Mhm.
Because again, I've learned too, like in terms of like going back to the conversation about doing female characters in books, it's
Mhm.
not about me sounding like a female, right? It's about giving the idea that there's a female that you're listening to right there, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to sound like a true female. I don't think I have that. I don't have that that capacity right now. Maybe it'll come in time, but as of right now, like that's not the job, right? The focus is making you understand like a woman's talking right now, or I'm not that guy. I'm this woman right now, and so
Yeah.
that's the challenge, right? And it's more mental than anything else. Understanding the nuance of a female's voice and how they deliver things, and culturally, like from a black female's perspective, like how would she say this, right? And thank God I have an amazing wife who will tell me like, yo, that's not right, you know. she'll, she'll certainly course correct and help me get to the right destination.
Yeah. That's dope. That's really nice.
Mm.
Um, let's geek it a little bit in reference to microphones and so forth, right?
Mm.
What equipments are you currently using for someone? So all these questions is just basically for some, you and I know what's going on, but for someone who doesn't know, they're now getting into the industry and so forth. I just want people out there to know what type of mic you're using, what type of equipment, and if you have any suggestions.
Okay. Let's see. So I use I'm primarily an Aston mic user. Like I use I got a couple of Spirit mics, but I
Hmm.
started with the Aston Origin. They're condenser mics. And they're really good at uh not shouldn't say blocking out noise, but focusing your voice into the mic and really eliminating other sounds outside of that.
Hmm.
So I use those condenser mics. I also use a Scarlett 18920 by Focusrite. It's an audio interface.
Interface, yeah. Those are
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah. And Scarlett offers a great variety of interfaces, and I highly recommend them.
Yeah.
I also use a PreSonus tube amp to warm up my voice
Oh, nice.
because again, it's it provides there's a tube drive. It's like a tube based uh, compression
Mm-hmm.
centered preamp,
Mm.
and so there's a couple of components on there that allows me to kind of warm up my voice with the tubes, and so I really appreciate it. And I got that as I began to be more, I guess, busy in the audiobook narration world, and so I also. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I have a whisper room recording booth that I got a couple years ago.
Oh, nice.
That's worked out really well. Again, that's not necessary. That's for if you desire to have a controlled environment where you can kind of have a good a good bearing on like the noises around you and kind of blocking those out. A recording booth, I should say, is perfect for that. And like I said, it was a great investment a couple of years ago, and so I'm really reaping the benefits of that now. But again, all you need is a good interface, a good microphone, and I have a Mac Mini that I use, but you can get a laptop as well, and you're good to go. Not a lot is required. I think that's one of the things people struggle with in the beginning. They think, "Oh my gosh, how am I? What do I need?" Right?
Yep. Especially the
Um,
interfaces.
yeah. But it's like I said, Focusrite has a
Mm-hmm.
great selection of very inexpensive interfaces to choose from.
Yeah.
There are a number of inexpensive mics. I know Rode, as a manufacturer, has a good selection of very inexpensive mics to choose from. And as far as anything else, I prefer Macs, but again, PCs are right up there as well. So again, the barriers to entry aren't as great as people think. And so, like I said, and there's always people out there to help you too. There's so much information on the internet in terms of figuring out what works best, what can work best for you. So I advise anybody to just jump on the internet. And all these outlets like Sweetwater, Guitar Center, whomever the case may be, Amazon even they offer starter packages for
True.
voice actors, right? So you can take inspiration from that as well, or just go ahead and get one of those. But
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of resources, a lot of things you can lean into to get information about what you need.
Some people say go to YouTube University.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know for me, I'm not sure where you're going. I'll wait because I was about to jump in on that.
Oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
But so the one thing I had to do in the early stages was I had to block out all of that though, right? So there gets to a point. Using the internet to learn and gain knowledge is great, but there comes a point where you got to stop, turn all that stuff off, and just go to work.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I was hesitant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I was considering joining in the very beginning, considering joining like a couple of pay to play sites, right?
Mm-hmm.
Voices and voices.com. And I was reading all these reviews, and there's always going to be, you know, why you should do it and why you shouldn't
Yep.
do it, why this is terrible and why it's great, right?
Mhm.
And I'm reading everybody's opinion. So I never forget. One day I just said, you know what? Forget all that, and I just turned to the proverbial TV off and just
Yeah.
went to work. I joined Voice 123 and started losing. Right. I just started.
Mhm.
I just because that's what you're signing up to audition, and
Yep. Hmm.
you're gonna experience a great deal of losing. But that got me better. That I gained more confidence. I started figuring more things out because I just started doing it. Right. And there's still those same reviews out there. There's still those same opinions about Voice 123 and Voices. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't be here without those two sites. Right, because they gave me the opportunity to fail enough to win enough. Right.
Okay.
To lose enough to grow enough, right? There's so many gains in that process of just trying to get it, right? Just trying
Yeah.
to learn. There's so many gains in it, and I wouldn't have gotten those gains had I decided, well, you know what? I don't want to hurt that much. You know what I mean? Because when I tell you I used to cry all the time in the beginning, it was crazy. I was. My wife would tell you I wasn't eating, I wasn't doing that, and I
What?
was skinny. My head was big. I didn't go outside because again, around this time too, COVID hit, right? So
All right, around that time.
like
Okay.
early because so I got through 19, but in 2020, right, is
Hmm.
when COVID hit, and I was like, I'm not going
That's
nowhere.
what that was a height of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere, right? And
Yeah.
I was just in my space, losing and
Oh
crying,
my
and I can't just
God.
depressed. You know what I'm saying? And there's no way for anybody to live, first of all. But that
True.
was my decision though, because I was like, there's no way. There's no way you're not going to tell me I'm not good enough, right? Not that was just my thing. That was just my thing, and I was like, I
Yeah.
kept going and I kept going until people started paying attention. People started like, oh,
Mhm.
he's, and people started reaching out to me like, how do you do it? I was like, crazy. That's how I did it, right? Just insane obsession, right? And it became that.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I guess the original point of all this,
Mm.
you gotta, yeah, take the information, do what you can with it, but again, you got to find yourself in this whole process. And I thank God that I was able to figure that out early.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense because for me, I was a photographer, so I was more depressed that I wasn't getting jobs on the outside. As you said, you're inside, there's no
Mhm.
jobs that you're getting. And I was doing more events, and I wasn't even really doing voiceovers at that time. It just started for me. So when the pandemic hit, my voiceover went up and then
Mhm.
my photography went down. But I was asking myself, what am I going to do? Because I get so used to going out, you
Mhm.
know, how am I going to make this work? So I decided, you know what? I'll just build a site and just build myself from that. But yes, it is depressing when you
Mhm.
don't have people reaching out to you as you're used to. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a summary of what I went through, but I went through the
Right.
same thing. But, speaking to you and hear you saying these things, these experiences that you experience, it's kind of I don't want it's refreshing in a way to see that it's not just you
Mhm.
going through something. Everybody went through something, no matter how good they are.
Yeah.
Everybody went through something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's always, we see it a lot, right? People see the results and think that's, where we started. Right? People see Midnight Michael now and they think, oh, he's always been Midnight Michael. And I was Jeremy. You know what I'm saying? For a long
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
And I had to get comfortable with the idea of Midnight Michael, right? Because just to kind of break it down a little bit, like when I first started, I was just Jeremy, right? Just he's a guy that reads books and narrates and does.
Yeah.
And then I started doing black romance, right? And I forget, I think it was I can't remember what outfit or company it was at first, but
Mhm.
they ask you like, do you have a pseudonym or whatever, a pseudonym or whatever.
Yeah.
And like and I had put out an EP like as Midnight Michael and all this kind of stuff, but it was just a stage name. I didn't believe in it. Okay, and this is the
Yeah.
key. I didn't
But
believe.
but
Go ahead.
before you go into that, I want to know the root of it. Like what made you go into that? What made you decide that I am going to go into black romance?
Nothing. I wasn't even thinking. Well, so I wasn't even thinking about it like that, right? It was it found me. To
Okay.
be quite honest and frank about that, black
Okay.
romance, urban fiction found me.
Mm.
I did one audition for Kaya Montague, and I tell this story a lot, how she shut me down and all this kind of stuff. But it didn't work out. But that's my homie. Like we worked through that. We got over our misunderstanding. but uh, but no, I did one audition, I think, before it really the levees broke, if you will, and I started really getting into it. But
Mm.
no, I wasn't even looking for it. I tell people this all the time. I used to think that was corny, right? You know what I mean? Like black romance and urban, like because I remember in college, my girlfriend at the time, one of my
Yeah.
girlfriends, she
Yeah.
was into Eric Jerome Dickey, right, and that kind of stuff, and Zayn and all that stuff, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, that corny. Like I never took it serious, right? So
Uh,
as I got into this lane of doing audiobooks, it was never like I never even considered it, right?
yeah.
And so I just remember getting an offer from
Mhm.
my DN audio.
Mm.
They sent me it's like a contract say they want to they want to use you, right? I was like, for real? And so it was crazy because I'm like, this is what this is. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I didn't understand what I was supposed to do. And I just remember I just don't want to be corny the whole time. Like the
Yeah.
whole like first wave of me doing that was like I just don't want to be corny.
Yeah.
And then I did a book. What was the name of the book? With Ocean, and that just kind of got that took off, and people were like, "Who was Midnight Michael?" Because I used my pseudonym, right?
Mm.
And to me, it was just a pseudonym. It was like just again something I could play with or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But and it's when I first there was no like I felt good about it, but again I was like, when they gonna figure this out? Like he ain't it like he like we think he is, right? You know what I'm saying, or whatever. Like people felt like he's good. I didn't believe, right? You know what I'm saying.
Ah, okay. You didn't
I was
believe.
just I was just trying to hold on. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was just hoping I get another book, another book, another book. And so shout out to the black urban romance, black romance, urban fiction world. All
Yeah.
the authors, all the publishers, everybody, the content creators, the listeners, the fan, everybody who boosted me up. You see what I'm saying? Because I didn't believe I became Midnight Michael because of this. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Right? To the extent now that I can't use, they won't let me use Jeremy no more. You see what I'm saying? Like the pub, I was like, yeah, I
Like,
just want to
who's
use
Jeremy? And
even
like,
even even on non-black romance urban they're still Midnight Michael because I was doing both Jeremy and Midnight.
yeah.
Now it's like even when I try to submit my stuff as Jeremy, they was like, you got to read this again as Midnight. You know what I mean? And so I became this because of everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And I started believing because everybody else believed. You know what I mean? And I'm thankful for that because it doesn't happen for a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
And so it's been a wonderful journey, wonderful experience, just trying to get into this and something I wasn't even looking for, right?
Mhm.
That's how good God is. Because I wasn't even thinking about this world, right? And this world
Yeah.
embraces me to this day. Like, I just started, you know what I'm saying? And I just became something that they people really
People
gravitate to.
saw in,
Yeah.
yeah, people saw in you. Just a summary of my experience
Mm,
was someone speaking to me on the phone, and it was like, Nicole, you have a good speaking voice. But people used to tell me, you should probably work as a sex phone operator. I was like, what?
really?
I'm
Mm,
like talking about corny, as you mentioned in corny, but most of the jobs that I got was seductive
mm,
voice or something like that. People would tell me speak in a certain way. So when I heard about the books and what you do, Black Romance, when I came to the what they had in Atlanta, I was like, this is where I could be. I don't want to
yeah.
do sex operator. The books would be better,
Yeah.
suitable for something like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, and when I think about it, when I thought about it, the more I thought about it as I was doing, and I was like, it just makes sense for me to do this. It makes sense. It makes too much
Exactly.
sense,
Yeah.
you know. And so I've found a home in it, not just from a success standpoint or popularity standpoint.
Hmm.
I found myself in this. You see what I'm saying? Like I
Mm,
rest in this well, right? I tell people all the time, like this space allows me to be myself for the longest amount of time. You know what I mean?
mm.
Like I don't have to sell anything. I don't have to, I don't have to act, right? This is all us. You know what
It's
I'm saying? This is our experiences, right? You know what I'm saying? And going back to the idea of creating female characters, I'm thinking about my aunts. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about how they sound. They're and my family members, right?
yeah.
That's where all this stuff comes from, like my family, you know what I'm saying, and my experiences in life, just putting all that together and creating helping to shape these narratives, right?
Mhm.
That help people really, kind of escape into our world too. So I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I enjoy that. All right. So we dove into everything. I hope you guys, there's so many gems that, Midnight explained to us. I'm going to take a little break. And I'm gonna have you listen to one of his books that he read, and we'll be right back. Before we go, could you say where everyone can find you if they want to work with you, your handles and so forth?
The easiest thing to do is just go to at around midnight. And midnight is spelled MIDNITE. On Instagram. That's the easiest way. I hang out there all the time. So, but you can get to my website from there. You can get to my other socials from there as well. So yeah, at
Okay.
at around midnight on Instagram.
All right. So keep it locked. We'll be right back.
Popeyes is getting saucy. New chicken dippers starring Popeyes signature sauce. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Here, speed is not just a force, but a living, breathing, and sacred entity.
More than 90,000 people have gathered at the Daytona International Speedway. The world's fastest stock cars battle for 200 laps.
The fearless rise to embark upon a quest for glory.
Richard Petty, perhaps the greatest race driver in history.
A prelude to a thunderous ballet soon to erupt.
When Bill Frank started NASCAR, today's sport started taking form. It's the Daytona 500. The great thrill is the win. We want out in front more than anything on earth.
In one of the most amazing finishes ever recorded.
The ghost of legends past whisper in the wind, fueling the fire within those who dare to pursue greatness.
On the inside, he's coming down toward the finish line. They both spin, they're in the wrong. Here comes Pearson. What? The winner is car number 21. It's unbelievable. And there's a fight.
The roaring symphony echoes the melodies of both triumph and defeat. A journey that tests the very fabric of one's pursuit and being.
Earnhardt's inwards, coming to the line. Derek Cope has won it.
Earnhardt has yet to win the Daytona 500. Just a quarter of a lap away from victory.
From end to end of unresolved, a new chapter is embarked upon, where a youthful protagonist begins to take flight.
Number 24, Jeff Gordon.
For every shadow, there is a light. And within the pain of loss lies a beacon of hope.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will win the Daytona 500. Finally.
A torch carried forward from father to son.
The legacy continues.
The bridge between generations to the dreams chased and achieved. This is a ballad of speed, and where legends live forever.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice. I'm here with Midnite Michael. Michael, could you formally introduce yourself to everyone and just let them know who you are and what you do?
Hey everyone, I'm Midnite Michael. I'm a voice actor and audiobook narrator. I'm based in Huntsville, Alabama, and I've been doing this for about 6 years now. I've done a variety of stuff across the entire spectrum of voiceover, including commercials, radio, TV, e-learning. But I'm probably more known for audiobooks in the black romance and urban fiction arena. But yeah, I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm a husband, father, and a huge sports fan. Yeah, so yeah, I think I consider myself a pretty diverse voice actor in terms of the approach and the ability to kind of be a chameleon and adjust to different opportunities that are in front of me. So yeah, Midnite Michael, audiobook narrator and voiceover artist, coming to where you are pretty soon for sure.
Very nice. Do you do most of your work in home studio or do you prefer a professional studio?
I have a professional studio. No,
I mean, well, all our is
no,
professional.
this is home. I work out of home 97%, 100%. Basically, I think the only thing I've done, and I was saying this, it was like a year ago, maybe now.
Mm-hmm.
There was a gentleman here locally that wanted me to come to a studio and record something. And it was the first time I'd done something away from home.
Oh,
It was
really?
the first time I recorded outside of the studio in terms of voice acting. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything else is just based here, done remotely for different clients across the world, incidentally. And but yeah, I would love to travel, but I just haven't had the opportunity to be in different places to record. But this is great though. I love it. It's I think I built it up to a point where I think it can compete with any studio that we go to.
Mm. Is it important to have the right recording space? And how did you create yours?
Yeah, I think and that's more so a comfort thing and
Mm.
workflow thing. But you give me a mic and a laptop and an interface, I can
Mm.
get busy anywhere. You know what I mean? And I think that's from just the many years and many hours spent just going at it. You know what I mean? And understanding it doesn't having better equipment is great, but it don't take much. It doesn't take much at all. All right. But yeah, to your point though, like I created this because it helps me, inspire me every day to get up and come in and go to work, and not even consider it work. Right. It's just me being in a space of comfort, absolute relaxation. And that helps, right? That helps me, set the tone for what I do that day.
Yeah. And they say do what you love, so it
Yeah,
comes naturally,
for sure. Yeah.
not considered
It,
work
yeah,
anymore.
it's not this
Entirely.
space is like it's a playground more than it is a studio.
Mm. Mm. What's the process like when you're booking jobs? Do clients come to you or are you actively auditioning every week?
I audition every day. That's that's not let's not fool ourselves, right?
Mm.
I've had a lot of success, but I'm not at the point where I feel comfortable enough to just rely on,
Mm.
the offer only, right, mentality. I haven't earned that yet. That's like in the audiobook world, that's pretty much how I get a lot of my work, offer only, right? But I didn't ask for that. I didn't. That's a blessing in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
You know, um, but I still work there. I still audition almost, if not every day, almost every day. Um, and it's the discipline that comes with it, right? That I don't want to lose, right? I tell people all the time that no matter where this thing takes me, right? Whether it takes me into doing big stuff and bigger stuff than I've done already,
Yeah.
I'll always audition because it reminds me of like the comedian, right? That's been doing comedy for years and he finally gets his break and is able to get
Yeah.
into movies.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that comedian that loses his funny, right? That loses loses the ability to connect with everybody, right? Because that's how you build that, right? By being on that stage in front of
Yeah.
people that just got off work like you did, you know what I mean? And you're trying to make it, So I never want to lose that. So I'm going to always audition for sure.
So, you know, you had mentioned going on one of these apps in order to find a job.
Yep.
From my experience, and I mean, a lot of people say, sometimes I go on this app and, it's not legit, or somebody's writing to me an email and offering me something. How do you know that it's a legit job that you're applying to? Or do you have an agent that will assist you in finding
Well,
a job?
you got to be careful to that point. You got to be careful with the sites you go to and the emails you receive because
Yeah.
I get those emails every day from
Mhm.
somebody named Marsh Matthew Markey or something like that, and I'm like, who are you? And you're
Yep.
not real.
Yep.
I know that based on your name,
Yeah.
but you got
Click
it's
the link here.
yeah. You have
Mhm.
to be really use great discernment
Mhm.
in terms of like evaluating those emails and evaluating the sites you go to. Like I said, I got a lot of mixed reviews about Voice 1, 2, 3 and Voices, and
Yeah.
they're still, I have my opinions of them now too, right? You know what I mean in terms of how things operate within those realms. But
Mhm.
the one thing they do, right? The one thing that they do offer, right, is an opportunity, right? Legit, however you want to look at it, there's an opportunity for me to audition every day based on one of those two sites, and that's been the case for the last 6 years, right? So I have no excuse, you know, excuse me, for not, I have no excuse, right? I have no excuse for not doing the work, you know what I mean? Because the opportunities come to my inbox every day. But from in a more general sense, though, to the point you just made, you have to be very cautious because they're I'll say the word vultures out here who will prey upon
Yeah.
people's energy, right? Or just trying to, figure things out, or
Mhm.
trying to land a job, trying to, get information, whatever. They're people that prey on people like that
Yeah.
day in and day out. They make their living on people like that. And so you have to be very careful. I do have an agent, but again, that wasn't, I didn't get an agent because of that. I got an agent because I was trying to get into some other doors, right? And I do get auditions from them, but it's still like it's more of a partnership than it is them feeding me stuff. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you have to, look at every opportunity, understand how it can work for you, understand if it's legit, and again, seek help. The internet is a wonderful, crazy place, right? And there's so much information out there on everything. So,
Yeah.
um,
You have to
you
pick
you
and choose.
yeah, you will never not be able to find out the information you need just based on the internet being what it is.
That's true. What's been one of the biggest challenges in navigating this industry for you?
My voice. It's been, right. It's because I fancied myself again being like, doing all these commercials and all this animation,
Yeah.
and a lot of times people aren't looking for this voice. You see what I'm saying? Right. Which is crazy to think about, right? My whole life, people are telling me you should do this because of my voice. And then you get in it and you realize that ain't it. That's not the reality of it, right?
Mhm.
When I first started in training, the one thing I had to unlearn is, as a result of my training, is to sound like an actor, or to sound commercial, or to sound like this and that, right? Because they coached me a certain way. They told me a certain thing, but they coached me a certain way, right? To sound like the American Express kid or whatever, the millennial
Ah,
voice and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm not, and I bought into it, and I was just trying. I was like, yeah, tell me what I can do with it. And just really, animated and all this, trying to be like a certain type, right?
yeah.
And over time, I learned that that's not going to work for me. That's not going to be what makes me successful. This is going to be what
Being
makes me
you.
successful. If I have any success in this lane, right? And
Yeah.
so I had to find my space that
Exactly.
was accommodating for a broader audience,
Mm.
just based on my voice, right? And it's again, it just takes work, man. It takes those hours. It takes that time. It takes that losing. It takes all of that to figure out, okay, that's not working. That's not working. I
Mhm.
tried it that way. I got lucky here, but that's probably not gonna happen again. All these things become a part of the DNA of what eventually you grow into, and that's where I am now. I'm still evolving, but yeah, I learned from all of that stuff, right? Don't try to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
Um, be bold in how you feel. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna try to. I can't, because there were things like my agent will send me things sometimes, like try to, like, it's just, I was like, I'm. There's no way I'm doing that. There's no way I'm doing that. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, again, everything is not for us. Everything is not for you. And just be okay with that. It's okay. It's
You,
okay not to be able to do everything. I know I can't. Right?
you have to know when to say
Mhm,
no.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even going back to my, like, I sing too, right? Not for a long time. Like, I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. I'm a huge Stevie Wonder fan. I'm a huge fan of the, Maxwell, right? And it's like I wanted to sound like them. I really wanted to sound like them for my whole life.
Yeah.
And I didn't really start appreciating the depth of my voice as a singer, right, until much later in life, right?
Mm.
Because it's like you realize, okay, and I think being a voice had to help, right? Like, just understanding how to use my voice
Yeah.
better. But everything, I can't do everything. I had to realize that too, because at one point I thought I was invincible, right? But you realize, like, your falsetto is cool, but that's not where you live, bro. Just give them that, give them the voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, you have to really understand your limits and limitations, but also understand how to capitalize on what you have.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone told me there was this British voiceover, and they said, you know what, if you sound like this person, you could capitalize on that. But I'm like, I don't want people to know me for someone else's voice.
Yeah.
I want to be my voice. And I got the compliment that my voice was even better. But that's the thing, is like, you'll have your own people that would be the ones that are interested in your voice rather
Mhm.
than trying to be someone else,
Yeah. I mean,
you know?
it still burns me up sometimes when I see people, like, I see, like, casting, specs or whatever, and they'll say, we need you to sound like, Sam Elliott, or, Morgan Freeman, or all these, and I say, like, I'm like, you know what? And I think, in the beginning it was great, right? Because I was like, wow, well, these are, you know,
Yeah.
my idols, right? But I forget who said it, but there was somebody. I think Dave Chappelle said,
Mhm.
um, it's an interesting transition to grow from trying to be like your idols to not want to be like any not to not want to be anything like them at all, right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of where I am, right? It's more of like I want to establish my own signature, right? My own sound, my own, you know, I guess I have a brand now, but just kind of just making seeping into the conscious of people like, oh, I know that voice, right? And it's not James Earl Jones, it's not Morgan
Mhm.
Freeman, it's not Keith David, it's not these people I look. It's me, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They might not know the name, but they know the voice,
Yeah.
and that's the kind of signature I want.
Do you think, because I know when they send you specs, they would say, you know what, like this person, but I mean, you've done the work, so you know better than me. Or you could tell me from your experience, even though they're saying, okay, I want you to sound similar to this person, but not necessarily like this person. Do you think that's what they're trying to say? Or they definitely telling you, I want you to sound like this person
So
as
it
a
varies.
guideline?
It varies. Some people want you to sound like imitate
Hmm.
Morgan Freeman. Some
Okay.
people want the because they can't pay Morgan Freeman, right? So they want somebody who can get close to his voice print and right in his delivery cadence, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Because they want that, but they know they can't afford Morgan Freeman or James Earl Jones or Sam Elliott or those people like that. Um, in other situations, they do want you to, kind of give the idea, right, of those names that they throw out.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess that's cool, right? Because it still gives you that room to like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna sound like Jane. I'm not gonna sound like these guys, but I'm in that
Realm.
conversation, right?
Yeah,
I'm in that
yeah,
conversation in terms of tone, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So it gives you, you know, it's less, pressure, I guess, but there's a little freedom there to kind of explore what you can do within that realm.
yeah. So besides, on the flip side, besides the very first time that, you got your voiceover gig and you were proud,
Mm.
what has been one of your proudest career moments thus far, besides that time that you mentioned?
They're two, and they were pretty early.
Yeah.
One, I had to do a promo for a concert in North Carolina.
Mm,
I got an opportunity to do that. Like it was a minute long, and the interesting part about it, it was like I started in 2019, like April. So I would say June of that year, right?
wow.
I auditioned on Voice 123, and the guy reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, can you make a commercial?" Right, the whole thing, like one of those, just a promo ad, right, for a
Yeah,
concert, right? Then
yeah.
I'm sure you're very familiar with those, right?
Hmm.
Never done it before in my life. Right? I never voiced one. I never produced one.
Yeah.
And so a part of the audition was I had to send in an example of my work from something that I'd done before. So I had to create.
The hardest. I did
I
that.
had I had to create a commercial again,
Uh-huh.
just out of scratch from scratch, right? And so I sent it in,
Mm.
nervous, but I got it. And I never forget. I spent the whole day. I took off work. I
Uh-huh.
spent the whole day putting that together, man. And I was like, man, I hope it works. And
Uh-huh.
so I sent it to him, and it was like just regular. He was like, okay, just say this line like this. Here's some updates to the script or whatever. But as
Mm.
far as like the music, the sound bed, the music or whatever, how I mixed it or
Hmm.
whatever, it was great. And I had never done that before, right? And I was like, wow, that was dope, right? That kind of helped me grow a little bit of confidence in terms of like, okay, I'm doing the right things.
Hmm.
Um, and then there was uh, probably a year later, 2020, like during the U.S. Census, they reached out. I auditioned through Voice 123 again and got a gig with the Census, and it was like at that time that was a pretty big deal for me because it was one of the more, I guess, uh, rewarding opportunities because I was able to bid on it, right? And I put this big number up there in my mind, right? I thought it was pretty big. It was like 750, I think. And that up to
Okay.
that point, that was I think that up to that point, the biggest thing I'd done was like maybe $400 or whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm in that range for like a year, like $300, $400. Boom. I'm thinking I'm killing the game, right?
Yeah.
And so it's crazy to think about that now.
That's the thing. It's like, I mean, put in a number on myself or put in, a price on myself. I've heard someone say when I interviewed them, if this paid my bill, let's say if I had a car note, I had whatever bills I had, if this was about to pay
Yeah,
this particular bill, not to say an extravagant amount, but you just average it to the
yeah,
amount you think it is. I mean, what I have to do, the only thing is the Caribbean market
mm,
and the American market, you kind of have to like see in between, depending on which market you're in, right?
uh-huh.
And
Yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah.
how he based his price because he didn't have anyone to ask.
Yeah, I didn't either because I thought 750 was I was killing the game. I thought that was like top tier or whatever, right? And this is
Yeah.
again the U.S. Census, so I'm thinking they got it, so they can give it to me, right? So I end up getting it. I end up getting it, and it was I think one of my first remote sessions where the client called in and
Okay.
they were on the line, and I think I was a little nervous, and I think, man, I was messing up because I can't really read in my mind at the time. I was like, I'm sorry, and they was like, oh, you sound amazing, so they're seeing me
They boosted
differently.
you.
They're
Yeah.
seeing me, okay, they're seeing me differently than I see myself.
Mm,
Number one, okay, they're seeing me differently than I see myself. Okay,
yeah.
they're like, man, you sound. I'm looking at them too because they're on Zoom or whatever, and I can see them. I was like, oh, man, you sound great. Like they're really. I was like, are they lying? Right? I'm not believing it because my mouth is dry. I'm having to drink water. There's
Yeah.
no like they're cutting the grass outside. You know how they get. I was like, yo, can I, I'm like, I
Trust.
want to. That nobody cares, and I'm here trying to be great.
Yeah.
And so all this is going on in my mind, and I'm thinking they ain't gonna pay me this money, man, because that sounds terrible. The airplane is flying overhead. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, no, it's great. Just, send us your invoice, right? So I sent them the invoice, right? And I was like, boom, I guess I'm gonna get it, right? So I'm telling my daughter, my oldest daughter at the time,
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm about to get this money for this big, this big money for this big gig, because but you're gonna do. I'm like trying to inspire her, but like you could do so much better than me in life, right? I'm trying to inspire her with my story, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so this happens. This is, the day of. So the next day, right, I get an email from the company saying, hey, we got your invoice, but we need you to update it because that wasn't the correct price, right? And I was like, okay. And they sent me like what the correct price was. And it was $5,000, right?
What?
And I was like, what? Are you serious? And
Wow.
so I tell that story not because of the money. I tell it because of the idea of value and worth, right?
Yeah.
Um, they valued me, not the talent. What they obviously valued me because of the talent, valued me because of the talent. They would have hired me, but they valued what I was doing, right? Because that was a part of their budget, right? Whoever's in this
Yeah.
position is going to get this, and they didn't shortchange me because I said 750. They said 5,000, and then that's what I got,
Yeah.
And that taught me a lot about value, right, and worth. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like, so that kind of helped me grow as a business person, understanding my value and worth, right, within whatever market we're in
mhm.
you know and so yeah, those two experiences were two of my greatest experiences, one from a I can do this standpoint,
Yeah.
and then another from I'm worth this standpoint. You see what I'm saying? They really helped me kind of go to a different level at each of those moments in my career.
Yeah. So I wanted to, well, this kind of coincide with the question that I ask you now. So it might probably give you a chance to elaborate and probably think of another time that this happened, right? Have there been times where you had to advocate for yourself, whether in contracts, rates, or representation?
Yeah, let me think. That's a good question. Have I
Yeah.
had to advocate for myself in terms of no, I think everything I've gotten, I've asked for, I've gotten for the most part. I think what I've learned though is I need to be more, you know, um, I need to think bigger, right, than what I've thought
Yeah.
before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Based on what I bring to the table. And let me think. Yeah, no, I think for the most part, like all the things that I've done, I've been pretty much okay with.
Okay.
Um,
After that
but I
experience.
think I think now though, like okay,
Mm-hmm.
all that being said, for example, within the
Mm-hmm.
audiobook world, I think it's time for me to kind of, you know, raise the price a little bit. Right? You know what I
As
mean?
you say, yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, as you should, because as you said, you see your worth,
Yeah.
I used to say, you know what? I'm not as great as these people, but people see you as great
Yeah,
and better
yeah. And
because
they,
yeah.
mm. And there's no and I used to think when I did audiobooks, every book was the last book, right?
Yeah.
I used to be so scared, like, oh man, I used to cry at the end of the books because I know this might be it, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And I would find a part where it would just get emotional and I would lose it, right? You know. But now it's like, you know, I think I've kind of earned my stripes in this lane to the extent that this could go on for as long as I wanted to. And
Yeah.
that's not bragging. That's what it measures out to be at this point in time. That
Yeah.
could change. I don't take it for granted, but that and it could change. But right now, it just seems like the ship is going to keep going down the stream. You know what I'm saying, for a while, and
Mhm.
you know the publishers and the authors keep coming back every week. You know, every week, and I'm like, okay, to the extent of like, I think it's time for me to really understand and like for them to understand like it's time for me to go up a little bit. And this is probably the only season I've been like this in, right? Like I said, everything else has been pretty on par with where I was and what I thought I was worth and all those kind of things. But now I think it's time for me to go up a little bit because I think I'm worth more than what I'm getting right now.
Mm. Yeah, self-worth. And it's everything. I mean, my other questions is going to prove that is basically mind over matter with everything that we do. Um, Confidence. And even though you have the confidence, sometimes you think, you know what, I'm either not worthy of it, or as you say, sometimes you have to take off the internet. You have to take out all those voices in your head giving you that negativity, like that you can't do it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It is certainly like mind over matter, right? A lot of this stuff I didn't. Again, reading the book wasn't in my purview at all. Like I never imagined
Mm-hmm.
sitting down for hours at a time and narrating a book for somebody,
Uh-huh.
right? In a genre I didn't think I was going to be in, right? That was not in my mind as far as like becoming a voice actor is concerned. That was not something I wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
Something I not only that, it was something I didn't think I could do. I didn't think I could do this, you know, to the extent that I'm doing it now. But
Mm-hmm.
the more I did it, the more I believed, right? The more I failed, the more I believed because I was like, you know, this is going to get me better, right? That everything I've done up to has worked towards this, right? Towards getting me to this point in time, and it
Yeah.
was a mind thing, it was a mental thing, right? Being able to sit down 4 to 5 hours at a time, you know what I mean, and just read and narrate. That's a hard thing. That's not easy. You know that that's not easy, and so
Right.
that's definitely a mind over matter thing, right?
Mm.
And finishing a book.
Hmm.
And editing a book, all these things are not easy. It's not easy work. So that's certainly all. This is mind over matter every day, and I love it.
So just to give someone who has never done this before and they getting into it as I said before, um, what's the longest how let's say day, hour, time you've taken to do a book that you could remember that was like you thought it would never end?
Oh, but for the very first one, it was called The Harlem Plug,
Mm-hmm.
about a drug dealer in Harlem named Fritz Simmons.
Yeah.
Big, he pushed a lot of weight, and it was written by Harlem Holiday. Shout out to Harlem. But it was a great book. It was my first book though, and I had no idea what I was stepping into. Like I don't think she even knew that was my first book. I just gave something away,
Yeah.
but it was my first book, and it took months to read that book, I think. And
I
again, it
want-
was it was a pretty lengthy book, but I'm like I said, I'm versed at the whole process
yeah,
now, so it's not going to take me more than a
not
week to do a
long.
book.
But what was the deadline?
There was no deadline. I don't think there was a deadline. That was another thing too. Like, because she was just, it was like when it was really an informal kind of relationship from a business standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was like, just get it done when you can, and I was like, all right. So I had no idea. I had no idea about like ACX requirements, none of that. I had no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just like, but all that, even the performance, it was just tough, man. Because I was very critical of myself in terms of the performance and the enunciation. I'm country, right? And that's what I was just saying, and I can't do that because it's based in New York. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to adjust how I speak, and I'm rereading whole things because there's noise outside. I'm like, oh God. I can't do it. And then I had to edit it, right? So I
Yeah.
wasn't doing the punch and roll thing at the time. I was just recording and then going back and editing. So it was taking all day to do that. So it was like I was spending an equal amount of time reading to the amount of time I was editing, right? And so it was like, and I was trying to figure out everything on the fly, right? So it took me months. I started maybe in April.
Uh-huh.
I didn't finish until like around Father's Day, and I remember like right before Father's Day, like early June of that year, because this was like 2021, I believe.
Yeah.
And I never forget it was May, and it was like because and again we weren't in the office no more, so I was at home. I was just all day reading. I would wake up like I was in Harlem. I would hear like the New York sounds in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It was wild, and I remember I'll never forget. Um, it was Cinco de Mayo that year.
Mm.
And I was like, that's one of my favorite days to go out and just and party or whatever. And I was like, I got to get out the house, right? And I went to this bar that I used to do open mic night at,
Uh-huh.
and I saw some of the guys. They used to be. I was like, yeah, I'm reading this book. They was like, we knew you were gonna do it, right? They thought I had made it, right? Because I told them I was a voice actor or whatever. It's like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, we seen it coming, man. And I was like, man, y'all just don't know how hard this is. And
Uh,
I was, I was very emotional. And but yeah, so it was an experience to say the least. But I'm thankful that she chose me and I was able to go through it.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I'm gonna take a quick break. We're diving into everything about voiceovers with Midnight Mike. He's dropping some gems. We're gonna play some audio from him. You might have heard his voice in a movie, maybe in the books, audiobooks, or somewhere. Make sure and hit him up. Michael, give them your handles again so they can contact you.
Holla at me on IG at around midnight. That's MIDNITE.
Awesome. And we'll be right back.
I need you to let go of your fear. Let go of the guilt. Let go of whatever was and walk into what is.
I feel those chains are breaking, yeah. I fear God, I don't fear death. I see those stripes and take a step.
Creed 3. Reserve your tickets now. Rated PG-13. This Christmas,
I got the gig. I really need a haircut today, man. Can you fit me in? Whoa, sorry.
Looking for the hottest Caribbean vibes? Tune in to Island Vibe Philly Caribbean Station. Non-stop compa. Soca.
She said never again,
Reggae and Afrobeat. 24 hours a day. Live talk shows, the latest news from Soca to Soca blog, exclusive merch, and the perfect place to advertise your business. Download the Island Vibe radio app now
on Google Play or the Apple App Store.
Feel the rhythm, catch the vibe,
and vibe with the best.
Island Vibe Philly Caribbean Station, where the Caribbean lives. Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice.
Thank you for tuning in to Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice. If you're now tuning in, I am with the awesome narrator, voiceover.
She's lying. I'm none of that.
Hear the voice. Hear the voice. You know I'm not lying. Midnite Mike. And Mike, I want to thank you first of all for agreeing to be on my show. I'm just in awe that you actually said yes. That's how much I see you as like just for who you are, and I appreciate that.
Stop that. I'm just a regular old country boy that do read that reads some. No, I thank you, man, because this is just more evidence of the appreciation. You know what I'm saying? I didn't, like I said, I saw none of this coming. Still don't see, it's because for me, it's just the work, man. I just put one foot in front of the next and keep doing that and keep going forward. And I hope I'm doing good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for people like you to, take time out of your schedule to highlight and feature me, I'm the one that should be thanking you for sure. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Sincerely.
Welcome. It's my honor, honestly. It's definitely my honor. So what advice, I think I asked you this in the earlies, but what other advice would you give to someone coming into this industry when you look back at where you've been and where you are now in reference to contracts, in reference to just getting into the business?
Getting into the business,
Mm-hmm.
don't question yourself. Don't question the decision. All right, you're gonna, as I should say, like, don't question the decision.
Mm.
You're gonna question yourself. You're gonna question a lot of things, but don't question the decision, because it's not easy. It's not meant to be easy. It's not designed for you to, win everything. It's not designed like that. So that makes it easy for a lot of people to say, you know what, forget it. I'm moving on, like I almost did. But I remember why I started, and that's why I'm still here. I started because I wanted to be the best. I still don't know what that means, right? But that still drives me each and every day. So remember why you start, don't quit, and don't question the decision. Just keep going forward and good things will happen.
Hmm. That's good. What advice? This is one of the fiery questions, but I'm asking you now since we're in this
Okay.
question. What advice would you give your younger self?
Start earlier. Start sooner. Start when you didn't know what you were doing. Because when you started, you didn't know what you were doing, right? You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
a lot of, because again, when I heard, you know, you should do voice, you should do voice stuff when I was 12, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that I could have started then, but I heard that from 12 to when I started, right? There were various points, and then when I thought about it a little bit, but I always questioned, like, how do you do that? You know what I'm saying? And guess what? When I started doing that, even after all the training I got, I was like, how do you do that? It was still the same question,
It's
right? So
always there. It's always there.
the question didn't change. It was a matter of just doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't a matter of knowing. It
Mm.
wasn't a matter of being good at it. It wasn't a matter of any of that. It was just I started doing it. And next thing I know, it's 6 years later, and I'm on the show with you, and we're talking about all this stuff that I've done that you think is great. You know what I mean? And who would have known? Who would have known? It could be 26 years of me doing something great if I would have started. And you know what I'm saying? If I would have just started. So
Yeah.
I would certainly just tell myself, and whoever's listening right now who needs to hear it, just start. Don't worry about what you don't know, because you will never know enough. All right. So it don't matter what you don't know. Just keep going forward and just figure it out along the way.
Yeah. And find out from experience, I would say find out if somebody's telling you that you're good at something,
Yeah.
find out about it,
Important.
because I went from so many different jobs. First time someone told me, "Oh, you have a good voice. Come and see me in studio." I was working at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at the cash register, and everybody coming through would
Yeah.
say, "Oh, you have a nice voice. Don't ever change it. Where's your accent from?" And so forth. But I knew nothing of voiceovers. Even when I think it was a DJ, and he's like, "Oh, come to my studio. I thought he was crazy. I was like, what is he talking about?" Until my friend told me, come and see my friend. And then I did that initial training. That's when I found out, okay, this is what voiceover is. This is what this person told you back then. And then it started to register. They didn't let me go. They put me in a radio station and they had me start from there, and then it never stopped,
Yeah.
you know? So always pursue your dreams. Always pursue. If somebody's telling you you're good at something, try it. You never know,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do my fiery questions that I do on the show. Um, these questions are gonna be in relation to voiceovers because of the nature of what Midnite Mike does. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, okay. Favorite microphone of all times.
The one I use right now, I guess this is all it's the best one I've ever had. Is the Aston Spirit, and it's the black version. Yeah.
Home studio must have besides your mic.
That's the hoodie, the blanket, um, water, and that's pretty much. I mean, other than the technical stuff, right? The laptop or the computer, the interface, etc. But those are the things. And I was thinking about that. Like, I really need a hoodie on to record, and I need a blanket over my legs to record as well.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. It's
comfort.
But yeah, it's really it's out of the box stuff. Like, I don't need a whole lot But
Yeah, yeah.
those are the things that just make me feel like comfortable in terms of what I do.
Okay. All right. Most challenging script you've ever voiced. I had asked you before, but in summary, just one word or 5 words.
Most challenging script I've ever had to voice.
Mm-hmm.
It was that first book, because it was my introduction to the whole world of character creation and doing an audiobook at the same time.
Okay. Dream brand, book or project you'd love to narrate.
I would love to do. I said this. Oh, so it's easy. When I first started, right, I felt I was walking to my truck one day to go home to record from my job. And I just heard this voice say one day as I was walking, it just felt real. Like I still feel it was God, a message from God saying, I'm gonna live announce the Grammys the night I win a Grammy. Right.
Oh, wow.
So that's the goal.
That is nice. I love
Yeah.
that. That is nice. And they always say put it out in existence.
Yeah. So I believe that firmly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your go-to warm-up exercise?
I sing. I just, I'm not a big warm up because again, this is where I live for the most part, so it doesn't take a lot.
True.
But when I do need to, warming up for me is more about the energy, right? Just changing and shaping the energy of where I am, because I can get up some days like I don't even want to do this, you know what I mean? Or I'm tired, or the night before was rough, or whatever the case may be, and I got to, as they say, speak over yourself. I sing over myself, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of work my way through it, it helps for sure.
Yeah. What do you prefer? Long narration like audiobooks or short, punchy ads?
Long narration. Long narration. I think,
You like it,
I
yeah.
live there, yeah.
Oh, nice. Biggest pet peeve in a script?
Terrible syntax and punctuation. It's yeah. I won't get into it more than that, but yeah, it makes my job a lot tougher. Yeah.
You know what I've done? I've actually rewritten it and sent it to them and asked them if they liked it. But I mean, it might be different in narration because that's their book. But
Yeah, it's
sometimes I
much
end up
different.
doing that. Yeah. Sometimes I
And
end
so with narration, I found myself, if I do it too, like if I do that, like if I correct it, like it doesn't matter. They still want me to do it the way the book
the
is,
way
which is
yeah.
oftentimes not good. All right.
Um, if your voice had a nickname, what would it be? I mean, you have your name already, but if your voice had a nickname, what would it
All
be?
right, can I pass this? Because if people hear this, it'll be what it is. No, I don't have a nickname. But if I had to have one,
Uh-huh.
I still like. My voice. It's tough. I would say just call me like Chapter 10 or something. Like it would be like like Chapter 10. You know what I mean? Like a cologne or something. You know what I mean?
Ah, is it
Chapter.
strong, manly, soft?
Yeah, it's no, it's
Woodsy?
yeah, it's like a in the Chanel. You know what I mean?
Ah,
Prada area, you know what I mean? It
okay.
has that. It
Okay.
sticks with you, you know what I mean?
Ah, nice. That's good. What's the wildest or funniest direction you've ever gotten from a client?
Somebody wanted me to sound like Charles Barkley, um, and I'm like, I can't do that.
Ah, Charles Barkley. I'm trying to hear his voice in my thing, but
He's a basketball host for TNT. Well,
oh yeah,
not
I know
TNT.
him. Yeah,
Yeah,
I used to watch the games and stuff like that,
yeah.
Knicks and
But
all
I
that
was like,
stuff.
I can't do that, Doc. I'm
Uh,
sorry, and I had to, I had to find somebody else to do it because I was like,
mm,
I didn't want to caricaturize again.
true.
Chuck's one of my idols. I grew up playing basketball, so I looked up to it. And I don't know he is what he is now, but I still see the guy that was dominating on the court.
Yeah.
So I don't want to. I don't want to make him look crazy.
Mm, I get it. One word to describe how you feel when you're in the booth.
Home,
Home.
yeah, home.
Nice. And you are home, actually. Um, that's it for the fiery question. That's it. Okay, so the normal questions I usually ask is besides the one where, you know, um, when you look back, what would you tell yourself? I ask people, what is one sound that turns you on? But being that you're a voiceover, I tell people answer it however you want to answer it. But being that you're a voiceover, it could relate to anything. What sound turns you on?
Cheering, like turns me on, just in a positive way. Oh, okay.
Positive anyway, yeah.
Oh, let me think. Maybe a baby laughing.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
a baby laughing.
All right.
That's the coldest thing. I like that.
That's nice. What was the other one? Oh, if if heaven had a if heaven had a gate, right? What would you ask God to tell you? What would you like to know?
How does this end? All right.
You really want to know?
How does this end? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be cool to know.
Yeah, true.
And I don't think, even if I knew, I don't think I would do anything differently than I've done it. You know what I mean? I think I'm supposed to be here now, as opposed to being here before now.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for the journey more than anything else.
I appreciate that. That's nice. Okay. Thank you for answering my game and my questions. We're gonna take a short break again. We'll have you listen to some of Mike's work, Midnite Mike's work, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned to Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice and Midnite Mike.
This Christmas,
I got the gig. I really need a haircut today, man. Can you fit me in? Whoa, sorry.
Disney Plus invites you to celebrate the holidays.
What the? Hello?
So what do you want to be remembered for?
With a little soul.
Probably for doing this funny cowboy dance.
Great.
Disney and Pixar Soul. Rated PG. Streaming December 25th. Only on Disney Plus.
Looking for the hottest Caribbean vibes? Tune in to Island Vibe Philly Caribbean Station. Non-stop compa. Soca.
She said never again,
Reggae and Afrobeat.
24 hours a day.
Live talk shows, the latest news from Soca to Soca blog, exclusive merch, and the perfect place to advertise your business. Download the Island Vibe radio app now.
On Google Play or the Apple App Store.
Feel the rhythm, catch the vibe,
And vibe with the best.
Island Vibe Philly Caribbean Station, where the Caribbean lives. Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice.
Tuning in to Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice and my special guest, Midnite Mike. We attended the Black Romance Expo recently. That was like about 2 months ago.
Yeah, the Black. Let's get it right. I don't want you to get in trouble.
Oh yeah, sure.
The Black Romance Book Festival.
Book Festival. Sorry.
They'll eat you alive. But no, it was that May? Late May. We went up there and had a great time for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely amazing. Could you just enlighten them of what it was in summary? Just paint them a picture of what happened.
I would call it a huge, in a lot of ways, a huge family reunion, right? Where authors obviously were the centerpiece and the focus. In the Black romance and urban fiction lane, and they came out, and there were a number of different opportunities to interact with them. I think that to me that was the focus, right? But it also included like content creators, different audiobook narrators, and it was just a cornucopia of love and opportunities to interact via panels, via different activities that they sponsored. And again, like it was a lot of love shown throughout the entire weekend. It's a couple days, and like I said, I met the illustrious Nikki G there, you know what I mean, and was able to really connect with her, which is why I'm doing this today. But again, there were so many instances that were similar to that, right? Just meeting people that you've heard their name. I actually worked with several of the narrators. I just never, met them in person. So they were there and we were able to meet. But it was just, again, like a wide variety of just love, I would call it, that was on display in so many ways.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I experienced that, and that was actually my first expo,
Mine,
and
mine too.
it was amazing. Really?
Yeah.
A lot of things you say, I'm like, because the way how I uphold you, so I feel like,
We go.
you
Stop.
probably went to so many.
That was my first one. We came there just like my wife was asking me like, should we get stuff for the table because we had to do the book signing and should we
Yeah.
get stuff? I was like, no, I don't need that. I'm Midnight. I was just really cocky.
Cocky.
I was really arrogant. They know me, and this was just walking right by me like. And I'm seeing all these people talk to the people with the stuff at their table, and I was like, dang man. And then Miles was there. He was getting all the attention. Miles Washington
Yeah.
and McCary, and I was like, man, I should have brought some stuff, but.
That's what I was just about to say. Well, that's one of my questions. From your experience then, what would you do differently?
I, obviously having more offerings, right, for people
Yeah.
to because again I'm learning people want to take a piece of you
Make
with them,
something. Yep.
and I was
Yep.
like, that's weird, why I'm reading the book or whatever, right, what I mean,
Yeah.
but it's real.
Yeah.
That's a real thing, like people want to
Yeah.
say, I got this pen, I got this t-shirt, I
Mhm.
got whatever, right. And so I learned that, and we kind of translated that and learned from that, and took some stuff to Indie Love, which is like a month after that. And so we had it was a good, both experiences were great, but with having the stuff there, it was a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I see they're bringing out 2026, so I definitely want to go.
Yeah,
Definitely want to
yeah, I'll
go.
be there in
Yeah.
full effect.
Oh, nice. So I'll meet you guys again in person.
Yes, ma'am.
you know? Okay, so I'm gonna ask you questions about your downtime. You had mentioned it earlier, and everybody have their downtimes, right? When business slows down, what do you normally do?
This is gonna sound really arrogant.
I mean, everybody have their downtimes, but it's like answer it how you want to answer it.
I don't have a downtime. I
Uh,
really don't. Like I
okay.
said, with the book flow, the book
Yeah.
work is, like I said, is
It's a lot of
being
work.
in demand is a blessing, but it's a lot of hard work too.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I'm never not working on a book, at least. Right? You know what I mean? I may not be doing a lot of commercial stuff right now,
yeah,
or it may not be the season for something else, but it's definitely a all year season for doing audiobooks. It's never a week. When I get a week off, when I get some time off from doing an audiobook, it's like I I ain't doing nothing. I'm, not, I'm laying down, I'm watching TV, I'm kicking with my wife,
yeah,
and you know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't happen too often. You know what I mean? So uh, thankfully, and I'm not saying any of that in an arrogant, oh my God, like, woe is me type way. I'm saying it because, that's the truth. That's reality.
yeah,
And that's what we work for,
yeah.
work toward, right? To get into a point where we're in demand. We're working all the time. And
Hmm.
that's what it is. So I thank God for it. But yeah, I don't have any downtime, thank God. And we just continue to pray that blessing is persistent, for as long as it can be.
Yeah. But does it ever have a time where, well, I shouldn't say ever have a time. We always have to advertise. We always have to put things out there. We always have to do, these algorithms and all that. Do you engage in Instagram and Facebook and anything of the sort?
I think I do, but I do it on my terms. I think a lot of people, well, me included,
Hmm.
wanted to be, Instagram famous or whatever you want to call it, right? Have the huge following, have all this, these branding opportunities, branding partnership opportunities, that kind of thing. But after a while, it was like I just want to do the work. I just want to do the work, and when I feel like putting it on display on that medium, then I'll do it. And that's been my life though. That's not just been the voice acting. That's just been my life. Because at one point I had like three different Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
One for my personal life, one for the music, and one for voice acting. Right. And I was trying to manage all those things and just do it, keep them separate. And like, that's that.
Yeah.
My I didn't gain any traction in social media, right, until I put all three things together.
Okay.
And I started operating from that vantage point and
Mm.
that perspective. And, I noticed people gravitating to it. And I was like, wow, that's cool. So at some point in time, obviously, I'm going to have to, branch out and just have the voice acting thing by itself, perhaps. But for as long as I can, I want people to see my entire life, because I'm not this without that or that. You see what I'm saying? And so I thank God for the ability to be able to do that and still connect with people on those platforms.
That's good. Balancing life and work. Voiceover can be demanding with deadlines and clients in different time zones, right? How do you balance your career with family life?
I'm getting better at it. At first, it was like, and I was just talking about this obsession, right? In the beginning, I was obsessed, and I thought for a long time it was going to be my daughters and me, because it was just when I first started, I had recently divorced, and I would get my daughters on the weekend, and we would do stuff throughout the week, and it was just me and them, right? And so when I started doing this, I thought that was going to be it. I was going to commit to them as a dad, and just come back and do this all day. You know what I'm saying? Especially when COVID happened. I was just really in the box all day. I wasn't concerned about anything else because I was just trying to get it. I was really trying to get it, whatever it was. I was trying to get there, right? And when I met my wife, we met at we met at the beginning of my journey, right? And she got to see. She's seen every iteration of me throughout the course of this journey. And she would get mad at me for not eating. She would get mad at me for like just, sitting in the booth all day, and just, she was encouraging, but she was like, you need to step away. And I just couldn't, because I just wanted to, I feel like I had something to prove, you know what I mean? And so she, of all the people I know, she's shown me the most patience, of any person that's ever come into my life. Because she gave me that time to do that, right? Because she knew we'd be here, right? I didn't see it. In fact, when I started doing it, she told me I should do audiobooks. And I was like, you crazy. I was like, you crazy. She was
Wow.
like, you killed the game. I was like, you crazy.
Uh-huh.
And but here we are, right? And so all the stuff that's happening now, she saw it, right?
Yeah.
Well, then I had no idea we'd get here, but she's seen it. And so I say all that to say the obsession is still there, but the obsession is kind of expanded to be, to include, right, the work-life balance thing, right? Understanding like I'm a husband, I'm a father, all that's first, right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm blessed to be in a position to do that and also do this with the same kind of energy I did in 2019. You know what I'm saying? Right.
Yeah.
And so my wife is my best friend, so we spend so much time together, and I just don't ever want her to feel shortchanged because I'm still trying to get it, so to speak, in the voice acting lane. So I'm getting better at it, but I've gotten much better since 2019.
Nice. I just interviewed someone, right, who wrote a song about his breakup, right? And I'm just asking you this question because you mentioned having your family before, then you thought it was, just you and your daughters, and now a transition into where you find love, you got married and so forth, right? So this is just this is just for like people who is going through their transition in their own life, and maybe an advice that you could give them in reference to marriage, single life marriage, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Let it, Jasmine Sullivan has a song called Let It Burn, right?
Ah,
And again, the title doesn't, align with what I'm going to say, but sometimes you got to let it burn, guys. This is especially for gentlemen, like, and men who go through divorces, especially middle-aged men my age.
yeah.
You kind of live life a little bit, messed up a little bit, whatever. Let it hurt, go through that hurt, you know what I'm saying? Go through therapy, figure it out, because we're not perfect. We're not going to get it right. We don't have to be strong all the time. We aren't, we are very inhuman. We are very human, I should say, and live in that, lean in that, after it's all said and done. Cause I had to, I'll never forget, like being in my apartment when I first moved into my apartment after the divorce, excuse me, and just sitting there, like thinking like, this is the first time in my life I had just to sit down and figure it, like think, you know what I'm saying? Just think and just process things and how I felt about stuff. And a
Yeah.
lot of stuff hurt, you know what I'm saying? Because I hurt a lot of people. And I was broken in a lot of ways before I got married at that time. And after I got married, I even broken even more. So,
Mm.
and I was trying to, shield that hurt by doing other stuff. But at the point in time, I had to let it hurt, you know what I'm saying, and sit in that hurt and learn from that hurt and just grow from that pain. And I thank God for it every day, because had I not gone through that, I would still be the same person. Right. I'm so not that person anymore. You know what I mean? That wants or needs those things. I'm very strong. I'm stronger now.
That's
So
good.
any advice I could give anybody, just sometimes it has to hurt in order for it to heal.
Yeah.
So
That's
just
good.
just think about it that way.
Yeah. And in closing, anything that, and you might be cocky about this one too, I'm not sure, but anything that you think you want your listeners, audience, fans to know that they don't know about Midnight Mike that you like to tell them.
Um, uh, 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 I love being a husband. I think that's one of the things that people don't really get to
Mm.
see a lot of, because again, that's not how I display my life, but I love being a husband.
Mm.
Um, and I never thought that that could be a thing, you know what I'm saying? Right. In terms of like being happy with one person
Yeah.
and just being committed and loyal and faithful and all that kind of stuff, and laughing and being your best friend with the person I'm married. I didn't think that was possible, but
Mm.
this is my favorite role, quote unquote, in life, is to be a husband, because I adore my wife, and we drive each other crazy sometimes with how we act, but it's still all fun and love for us each and every day.
Yeah, I saw the video. I saw the proposal.
Uh,
And I was like, it was so beautiful.
so
The person made it into a video. The
so I
proposal.
had to do that, just so this backstory on that. I had to do that because I messed up that whole situation, like, and it took me a while to get her back. You know what I mean? And
Oh.
so I told God, like, if you ever give me another shot, then
Oh, wow.
I'm going all in, and so it couldn't have been anything less than what you saw on the video.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been like with the family in the restaurant on one knee. It couldn't have been that. It couldn't
Yeah.
have been somebody coming to sing out of the blue. It had to be that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it took a lot to get her back, and I said when I got her back, she wasn't going nowhere else.
Oh, nice.
So we here now.
Uh, Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Congratulations. That's so beautiful. So I want to thank you again, Midnight Mike, for being on my show, Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice. It has been such an inspiration. I want you to know, like I tell all my other guests, this could be your second, third, fourth, fifth home, in the sense that my show, you're always welcome. I know things are always happening, always evolving, new things are happening. So you're always welcome on my show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And again, like I said, I don't take any of this for granted. Um, I'm still like, as much as as much as I sound cocky, I'm still like, man, this ain't real, you
Yeah,
know. But thank you. It was great to meet you in person. Great to see you again, and I hope we get to do this again at some point in time.
you're welcome. Me too.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into Table Talk Show with Nikki The Voice. We're on every Saturday on Island Vibe Radio. You could catch us on Apple Podcasts and any streaming podcast that's out there. All right. Keep it locked. See you soon. And there you have it, Table Talk Show with Midnight Mike. It has been such a pleasure. Mike has dropped so many gems, and it's just been awesome. It's been a really great, great time speaking with him. Anybody who wants to get into voiceovers, if there's questions that you have and you need some answers, you could call me via Instagram, now that you could do that, or Facebook. You can message me, you can inbox me. Also, I have my website, which is Nikki G The Voice. Well, you could email me at nikkigthevoice@gmail.com, or you could go on my website, which is nikkigthevoice.com or nikkigmedia.com. All right. Thank you for tuning in to Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice. And I'll see you soon.
Popeyes is getting saucy. New chicken dippers starring Popeye's signature sauce. Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Table Talk Show with Nikki G The Voice.
What's this?
Welcome to Table Talk with Nikki G The Voice, where we bring to you highlights of entrepreneurs, leaders, organizers, and much more. A broad spectrum of professionals, including chefs, artists, designers, musicians, and much, much more. Our show is a new brand of talk shows where we educate, bring transparency, and last but not least, fun. Table Talk. Get ready for our seasons, a roller coaster of emotions, all wrapped into one. Caribbean style. We'll cover our Caribbean roots as well, so keep it locked. Welcome to Table Talk. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and iTunes.